I think this is the first time I come to Sikya Inn to give a talk. Tonight, the talk is on Vihara and lay people. This is an easy topic, a light topic. So, I won't talk so much, give you more of a chance to ask questions. Because I'm sure many of you have questions or have things in your mind that you are doubtful of. And I explained the Dhamma based on the early suttas of the Buddha, because the Buddha said in the Anguttara Nikaya 4.180, if any monk says that the Buddha thought like this or thought like that, the Buddha said you should not accept and you should not reject. But you should compare it with the suttas. Only if it agrees with the suttas and the Vinaya can you take it to be the Buddha's words, the Buddha's teachings. And the Buddha also warned us in Samyutta Nikaya 16.13 that in the future there will be fake Dhamma. And the Buddha said also this fake Dhamma will be created by monks themselves. So, it is the monks who preserve the Dhamma, and it's also the monks who destroy the Dhamma. So, we have to teach according to the suttas. Because the Buddha said in the Digha Nikaya, Sutta 29, that his teachings are perfect and complete. The Buddha's teachings in the 5 Nikayas, all the suttas are perfect and complete. That means it cannot be more perfect, it cannot be more complete. And the Buddha said, if you think you want to add to his words, you don't see his Dhamma. If you think you want to subtract from his words, you also don't see the Dhamma. When you don't see the Dhamma, it means you don't have right view. If you don't have right view, you are not even a Sotapanna. What the Buddha is saying is that those monks who created the later books, they are not Arya, they are all Putujana. It's because they don't appreciate the suttas, how well it was spoken, how complete and perfect it is. That's why they want to add to what the Buddha said. No need to add. Everything that you need to know from the spiritual path was spoken by the Buddha. That sutta also implies that our Buddha Gautama is the most perfect Buddha. You cannot find another Buddha more perfect than our Buddha, because his teachings are perfect and complete. No other Buddha can be more perfect and complete than our Buddha Gautama. At the most, another Buddha can be only similar in standard, in quality as our Buddha Gautama. So it's because people don't realize that they think they want to wait for Maitreya Buddha. They think they want to go and meet Amitabha Buddha and all that. No need. You have the perfect Buddha and the perfect teaching here and now. So if you don't study the suttas, you would have wasted your lifetime and you would regret it. So now coming back to this topic, Vihara and lay people. The word Vihara means a dwelling place, an abode. It can consist of one building or it can consist of several buildings. And in the English you can translate it as a monastery. During the Buddha's time, all the monasteries were forest monasteries, like our Vihara Buddha Gautama. Forest monasteries are monasteries that are away from town, at least 1 kilometer away from town. During the Buddha's time, people lived in enclosed cities because there were bandits. So people lived in enclosed cities, walled up. Then you have a main gate, and somebody looking after the main gate. Anybody wants to enter or go out, that man looking at the gate can open the door. So during the Buddha's time, most of the monasteries were several kilometers away from the towns. So the Buddha's days, monasteries were called by various names. Arama. Arama is like a botanical park. A park. Avasa, also having the same meaning. Avasa, this word Avasa in Thailand became Awat, and from Awat became Wat. So they shortened it. So in the Buddha's days, viharas were only for either monks or nuns. And lay people generally did not stay in the vihara. And slowly the vihara evolved. So nowadays you have town monasteries like here. Before I started our monastery, which is about 20 years old, in Dhamma, Vihara, I lived in several places. Then I realized that for a monk to really practice, he needs to stay away from town. Because at one time I stayed with Bhante in Penang, and it was like a town monastery. It was called Mitosi, from the word Omitohut. Actually, it belonged to Mahayana monks, and Bhante Suvano got to use it. So I found that when people come to offer breakfast, after breakfast they sit down and ask us a lot of questions. And then when they come to offer lunch, again after lunch they will sit down and ask a lot of questions. Sometimes family problems, a lot of times family problems. They are asking us, unmarried people, about family problems. How to... we are not experts. So that is after lunch. And then after work, 5 o'clock, some of them will come straight to the monastery and ask questions or discuss things. And then some after dinner, 8 o'clock, will come and ask. And not only that, sometimes they ask us to go for blessings. Bless the house, bless the car, bless the marriage, everything also need to bless. But the Buddha's days, monks are not allowed to chant blessings. In the Buddha's days, when a monk, for example, goes to a house for a house dana, after the lunch meal, the blessings the monk gives is a Dhamma talk. Sometimes a very short Dhamma talk. Like in the suttas, once the Buddha went to a lay person's house, and after eating, he gave a short discourse. He said, when a lay person offers food to the monk, he gives 4 things. Ayu, Vano, Sukang, Balang. Ayu is long life. Vano is beauty. Sukang is happiness. Balang is strength. So because you give good food to the monk, he gets a longer life. He lives longer. He looks more beautiful. And then he has strength. So the Buddha said, by giving these 4 things, you will get back these 4 things. Either in this life or in the future life. So that was the blessing. Listening to Dhamma is a great blessing, a lot of people don't realize. It's a much higher blessing than doing dana or keeping your sila. If you listen to Dhamma and you understand you can get right view, Aryan right view, and become an Arya. If you listen to my talks, I've given talks for nearly 30 years. Most of the talks are condensed in the SD card, which is available for sale there. Cheap sale. We are selling below our cost price to encourage people to listen. So, in the Buddha's days, a monastery is for the monk to practice the holy path. The holy path is the Aryan Eightfold Path. It's also known as Sila, Samadhi and Panya, keeping the precepts, practicing meditation to get concentration, and listening to the Dhamma to attain wisdom. So, in the Buddha's days, the monastery was big, many acres. So they can go to different corners of the monastery to meditate. In the morning, the monks would, when the sun rises and it's a bit bright, they walk into town for alms round, Pindapata. During the Buddha's days, cloth was hard to come by. And the cloth they get also very buruk one. Easily you pull it a bit harder, you'll break. So cloth was expensive. So when they walk into town for Pindapata, this upper robe in Thailand is called Chivon. They will fold it and put on top of the head. And then they only wear the sabong. In Thailand it's called the sarong in Thailand it's called sabong. And they walk topless through the forest. And then when they come near the town or the city, then they put on their robe. And then they walk to town and then collect their food. And after they walk out of the town, out of the city gates, they will take off their robe again, put it on their head, and then walk into the forest and have their meal. Then after they have their meal, they will go to one corner of the monastery, quiet, sit under a tree and meditate. Meditate, take a rest and meditate the whole day until the sun sets. And then when the sun sets, they will come to the most senior monk, to where the most senior monk is dwelling, or if they have a hall, they go to the hall and they discuss Dhamma. Even Arahants who have finished their work, they will also go and discuss Dhamma because they value Dhamma so much. They respect Dhamma so much. Sometimes they purposely ask certain questions for a senior monk to answer so that the junior monks can learn some Dhamma. Sometimes the junior monks will ask. So after discussing Dhamma and getting quite late, then they will take a rest. Then after that they wake up. They wake up early before the sun rises and meditate. Either sitting meditation or walking meditation until the sun comes up. Then time for them to go for alms round again. So that was the monk's routine during the Buddha's time. But sometimes they also had work to do. Like in the Vinaya books, it is mentioned that during one vasa, 3 months of the rain season, the monks under Venerable Mahamoggallana, they built 500 kutis. But then 500 is not exact, meaning quite a large number of kutis. The monks work, that means practically the whole day they work. Cut the wood, saw the wood, nail the planks and all that to build the kuti. So it's not that monks don't work, monks also work. Especially in the forest monastery. If your forest monastery is big, you have to do more work. Our monastery is 20 acres. By Malaysian standard, it's quite big lah. But by Thai standard, it's good. Kacang putih lah. Thailand, some monasteries, 1,000 acres, 2,000 acres. So, the monastery also is a place for lay people to come to do dana, food offering or offering of any other requisite. And then also to do volunteer work. Because monks are not supposed to cut the trees or cut the branches or cut the grass and all that. Why? Anybody know why? Devas is one reason, but I think the main reason was that in India, they believe that plants are living beings. They say plants are one-faculty living beings. We have 6 faculties, 6 senses. Plants have 1 sense. So, even up to today, there's a religion in India called Jainism. Their followers are called Jains. In the Buddha's time, they were called Nigantas. And even up to today, some of them, they practice compassion to a great extent, to the extent that they have a cloth covering their nose, covering their mouth all the time. Why? So that the flies and the mosquitoes don't fly into their mouth and get killed. The Buddha said, this is compassion without wisdom. So, for them, even they are vegetarians, and I'm not sure, I think maybe vegans also. And not only vegetarian, they are vegetarian to the extent that they cannot eat fresh fruit. They cannot eat fresh vegetable because they say fresh vegetable is still alive. Must wait until the vegetable turns yellow, layu liao. Then boleh makan. So that was the main reason, because people in India believe that plants are living creatures. So the Buddha asked the monks not to cut. But it is true that plants have fairies. The smaller the plant, the smaller the fairy. The bigger the plant, the bigger the fairy. And sometimes if you cut the tree without giving them notice, they can cause you to have accident, cause you to be sick and all that. So, lay people come to the monastery to help cut grass, to do gardening, and then cleaning and mopping the floor and all that. And nowadays, lay people also can come to the monastery to keep the precepts and to listen to Dhamma, like here today, and to meditate. So, that is generally the purpose of a monastery. Formerly for monks and nuns to practice, but now also for lay people to practice. So I will tell you a bit about our monastery, which is called Vihara Buddha Gautama. Our monastery is open to all the monks and nuns and laymen and lay women to stay and practice. So, any monk or nun who wants to practice and can follow our daily schedule, can stay, including laymen and lay women. And nuns include, in the Thai, I come from the Thai tradition. In Thailand, the nuns are only 8 preceptors. They wear white and shave their head. 8 preceptors means they can still keep money, can still keep property. But nowadays, like in Myanmar and in Sri Lanka, you have 10 preceptor nuns. They wear the robe like the monk, brown color. And they keep 10 precepts. Once you take 10 precepts, they cannot own money. They also cannot own property. Nowadays, sometimes people say cannot touch money. It is not cannot touch money. It cannot own money. Because in the Vinaya books, suppose you come to a monastery, you come to our monastery,